Record. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this roundtable edition of Langerr at the mic. We're joined here by our awesome guests, Ryan Silver and Ethan Meyers, and today we're going to break down all the crazy action that's happened in the NHL in the last 24 to 48 hours. So how are we doing, boys?
We're doing well. We are here to chat.
We're doing well. We are here to chat.
And we're doing well. We are here to chat. I guess that's going to be our thing from now on. We'll just keep it going. Why not? And Ryan, thank you for having a webcam this time.
Yeah, I know, right?
I actually think it's a downgrade.
Because now we get to see his Leafs jersey, which sucks. But anyway,
no, let's be clear. That is the best part about the webcam. The worst part about the webcam is having to see the rest of Ryan.
Oh,
I beg to differ.
I think you're beautiful, Ethan.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Ethan is the one with the best quality webcam and the best quality headphones out of the three of us.
And the best quality face, man. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, when you cam for money, you have to have the proper equipment. I'm just preparing for my future line of work.
For me too. Hey, I'm gonna be upgrading soon too. So anyway, let's get right into it, boys. So from the top, we had a 5 overtime game the other day. What do you got? Did you guys, did you watch 6 hours of it? Did you watch half an hour of it? Did you get bored? Did you love it? What do you guys think of the 5 overtime game that we had the other
streaming.
day? We're live right now. We're live.
I'm live.
Hi, Bubba.
I barely caught any of that game. I had the privilege of only watching the later overtimes, which was effectively like watching a really slow hockey game. Absolutely nuts that it went that long. And I'm surprised I was really able to even pay any attention to it. Because the game just started to you're running 4 lines, you're all dead. It's game 1. So I think for a lot of players, the motivation started to drop. And really just turned into pretty mediocre hockey. So the incentive to keep watching was definitely sort of not there. But at least at the end of 5, we finally had a result.
Yeah, and I remember, I was talking to Ethan during that game. I was like, man, do you see what overtime it's in right now? I think I tuned in the 4th, and I watched that game. And the first thing I said was, is it just me or is this really slow hockey? It makes sense. They're starting their 3rd game in a matter of 1 day. But it was it got a little dull. But on the other side, I was super excited to watch that potential record breaking with Korpisalo because the record's 92 saves in a game. And I was cheering for him at that point. Even though he knocked my team out of the playoffs literally 1 game ago, I was cheering for that to happen because, man, what a performance. I got to give him credit because although the rest of the players on the ice were looking dead and done, the goalies didn't. The goalies looked like they looked like they were just starting their first period at the start of every period. I couldn't believe how well they're playing. And that was really cool to see because you'd think they'd be the first ones to die out, but no.
So here's what happened to me. So I tuned in around around I think 5 o'clock. I was like, oh crap, we have overtime between Tampa and Columbus. This is the first overtime. I'm gonna watch. First overtime ends. Whatever, okay. So we got double overtime. Oh, big deal, right? We got double overtime going here, right? Yeah. Double overtime ends. I was like, all right, whatever. Well, I guess we got triple overtime coming up, and
things are getting spicy.
Saw that
I had a really long day. I was busy with a couple of other things all day. So at that point, it was late, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna take a little schluff here. I'm gonna close my eyes a little bit, and whatever happens. We'll watch Boston Carolina when it gets started. And
sure.
I take my nap started in the intermission between the 2nd, 3rd overtime. And I wake up after the 3rd overtime like, what? We're going into a 4th overtime? You have got to be kidding me. And then, It's almost like, why did I start watching this game after the first overtime? But still, honestly, guys, you know what? Again, I don't know what's with Ethan and thinking maybe the way you see things is a little bit slower than the way I see things. I don't know. But, I think that despite the fact that it was in the 4th and 5th overtime, it was still really intense hockey. Because maybe
it wouldn't surprise me that someone who thinks that the Habs are a good team and decides to root for them is just going to be slower than a Toronto fan.
We're not. Your team isn't even in the playoffs. Your team isn't even in the playoffs.
That's fair. You know what? At the end of the day, if you're playing to win the Stanley Cup, What are you going to do there? You play to win the game. You play to win the NHL lottery. You don't. It's time to strap up next season. Next season, we're going to win the lottery. I can feel it. It's coming in the air. But seriously, you can't expect the players to play what they're going to be doing, say, in the first period when they get their legs going, to what they're going to be doing 5 overtimes later. And to say that the game was of the same caliber by the middle of the third game that they were playing, no way. These guys are not conditioned to that level, and I don't think anybody is.
Obviously not. Obviously not. I'm not saying that it was at the same intensity that was early on, but I'm just saying I was impressed by the fact that they were playing.
They played about at the same intensity of Montreal Canadiens on every given day. Ethan's got a great point there, so I can see why you didn't see it. Absolutely. It must have been very exhilarating hockey for you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's exhilarating watching playoff hockey altogether because you guys don't get to experience that much, or at least winning playoff hockey. So, anyway.
To be fair, the way the Habs played that game, I don't think you're going to be watching that either.
But you know what? We'll get into that. You know, the Canadiens, they really held their own against the number 1 seeded Philadelphia Flyers. I mean, you can't argue that.
Are we going to brand them the number 1 seed as if they earned that in the regular season? Are we really going to let that slide? That it's like these guys are the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference. I mean, show me the average person who legitimately believes that just because they won some round robin games that both teams were competing in.
I mean, and the Habs are the 8th team by that degree too, man. Like the 8th team. Ooh.
I mean,
here comes the upset.
Hey, they earned it. The Canadiens earned that 8th seed, and the Flyers earned that number 1 seed. You can't, under the circumstances, you can't deny it.
Listening, I'm doing.
You're right. But you don't have to say that it means anything.
The same way the Leafs did not earn a playoff spot this year.
That's right. They did not earn a playoff spot, and so we don't have to make anything necessarily of the particular ranking that their team is in. They're not in the playoffs. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's hate on the Leaf. I gotta hold my own here. Going up against 2 Leaf fans, I gotta hold my own here, right? But
that's right. You got to do what the Habs are not going to be able to do against the Flyers, because that game should have been at least 4-1. If the Flyers didn't decide to vomit all over themselves when they had 2 empty nets, the game would have been way less close than it was.
But you know what? We'll just keep embracing this underdog role. We'll take the hate. We'll take all the hate and the disrespect and all of that all day, because you know what? It just makes us better. It just makes us more resilient and makes us better.
That's right.
They're doing their absolute best, and they're still learning how to skate. If you saw that 2-0 breakaway, he's really making improvements on he got past the blue line this time.
At least he doesn't get At least he doesn't make $40 million to score goals and doesn't score goals. So you know.
Yeah, but that's pretty sweet. Imagine getting paid that much money to do a job. You don't do that job, and you still get paid that much money. At least one thing you can say about the Leafs players is they have financial literacy. That's fantastic. That's something that's very admirable. Yeah,
I'll take that. I'll take that job any day.
$40 million to not do your job. That's fantastic.
It really is. That's something worth applause.
Is a Carey Price fan try to take shots at Leafs like our payroll right now? Do you know how much you're paying Carey Price?
Yeah, I do know that. I do know that he's doing everything that he can to earn that salary because of that save that he made yesterday, where he was completely out of the net and he threw a stick in the middle of it was Scott Laughton. Right, he's actually earning his salary. He's actually and then some.
Yeah, and then I'll defend Carey Price's salary. I will defend Carey Price's salary to the end of the day because he is absolutely earning it. Yeah, I think Shea Weber would have been the much better comparison, because you're going to pay that guy till he's 40.
No, did you see that hit by Shea Weber? Again, I could tell. I watched the game last night and you guys didn't, because Shea Weber made JVR look like a little kid yesterday.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying Shea Weber is absolutely not worth the price right now. In fact, that was the entire point of the trade, right? The thing is you still have 6 more years of that guy, and that is going to be wheels falling off real quick. We know from Dion, at least you can hate on the Leafs as much as you want, but at least learn something from the years of mismanagement that they've been bungling under. And apparently that's not to be. So we'll just go ahead and keep Shea Weber until he's 40 years old, paying him a $7.1 million cap.
So wait, so you're really going to compare Shea Weber to Dion Phaneuf? So you're going to say Shea Weber in his prime is as good as Dion Phaneuf, really?
No, I never said that, and I don't intend to say that at all. What I'm saying is you have the exact same contract situation. You have the wheels are about to fall off of a top-tier defenseman, and you're paying him $7 million a year for several more years.
Okay, but you can't say. But if they're starting, if Weber's starting here and Dion Phaneuf is starting here, and you talk about a decline, well, in 7 years from now, or whatever it is, Shea Weber will be at a much higher level than Dion Phaneuf was at his decline. But
That's
anyway,
not how aging works.
that kind of is. But anyway, that's a whole other discussion. But anyway, what I want to ask you guys about these long overtimes. Yeah, but the wheels fell off pretty late in his career, though. Pretty late. I mean,
guys, it's hockey. I don't know where's this wheels falling off, like innuendo here.
Skates falling off. But anyway,
we all know that the skates are made up of tiny wheels.
Like Gallagher's skate yesterday. Like Gallagher's skate yesterday fell off. That literally fell off.
Hat with that one, man. Holy.
Yeah. No, his blade literally fell off yesterday, and he had to like hobble his way off the ice to get a new blade.
2-on-1 breakaway?
No, that was Lehkonen. That was Lehkonen. Anyway.
Wait, whoa. You're saying his skates didn't break and he fell on his own?
But hey, you know what? You can't hate on Lehkonen for the game that he played yesterday. He worked his ass off. But we'll get to that. Right now, I want to ask you guys.
Tried so hard.
I want to ask you guys, and with all these long overtime games, because I forgot to mention that the Boston-Carolina game also went to double overtime and very well
did.
Eastern Conference games. Do we want to keep these marathon types of playoff games, or do we want to see chaos in overtime, playoff overtime hockey? Do we want to see 4-on-4, 3-on-3, no offsides, no icings, goalies playing backwards? What do we want to see in overtime? Do we want to keep it the same, or do we want to change it?
I'm down to see goalies play backwards. That'd be fun.
I think the thing is if you're playing the playoffs as a representation of the game of hockey, then you have to keep the overtimes the way they are. It just so happens that because of the current circumstances we find ourselves, that the overtimes are going to be a little bit more punishing than they normally would be because you're preventing other teams from playing. But if the point is that you're going to keep it 5-on-5, hockey as we know hockey to be, to win the Stanley Cup, that just seems like the path you need to follow. So I don't think you can change anything about the overtimes, nor do I think you should. I think if you're going to try to present the Stanley Cup playoffs as the Stanley Cup playoffs, even given the circumstances that we find ourselves under, you have to keep the game the way it has been played, the way it is being played.
However, you don't have to do that. It's like,
do you want anything to be meaningful?
Well, good question. So, just
I'm glad we have a
because
debate here.
Well, I'm not actually disagreeing with Ethan. I'm just saying, just because that's been the way hockey's been played, that doesn't mean the game doesn't change. And that doesn't mean it's not more entertaining to do it other ways. And so the league does whatever they want to do with it. They could just say, this is how we're going to say hockey's played now, and then do it.
Yeah, but the league is obviously trying to forward this as saying we don't want an asterisk attached to this Stanley Cup playoff.
But, they changed the regular season, too. Doesn't that apply, too? Like, if they change the regular season overtime, doesn't that also apply?
No, the regular season overtime has, there's a lot of sense as to why you would change the overtime in regular season. Like, the game needs to end. And you definitely don't want to be expending players.
Well, it's more in the regular season. Hang on. Wait, Ryan, 1 sec. In the regular season, changing overtime is about trying to reduce the chances of getting to a shootout. That's what the NHL is trying to do in the regular season.
They don't have to have a shootout.
The game has to end at some time. Like you probably can't allow yourself to have 5 overtimes in a non-playoff game.
Here's the
if
thing.
You're making 3-on-3 hockey, I don't think that would happen. How fast scores are.
But here's where I think that this whole overtime thing is getting magnified because it's delaying other games because these games are taking place on 2 different ice surfaces. You have 4 different matchups in each conference taking place on only 2 different ice surfaces, whereas typically these games would be taking place, in Boston or Carolina or Montreal or not Toronto or Edmonton. Okay, not Edmonton, but you know what I mean, like Vegas or St. Louis or Vancouver, right? They'd be so it's getting magnified because it's pushing back games, which raises my next question is: do you think that the NHL could maybe have created an alternative plan or a backup plan if these games do get extended the way they have been?
I don't think so. I think they did a pretty miraculous job of being able to put something like this together. I think given the circumstances that the world is in, it was going to be extremely hard to put anything together. And to manage to get 2 hub cities out of this, to create 2 bubbles the way they have, to not really have had the scandals that we've seen in other areas like, say, the MLB, then I think you go into it knowing that this is going to be a consequence of having some games go to overtime, and it's something you're willing to accept. Because what's the worst case scenario? A game essentially goes infinite amount of time, and you would just have to cancel the game or temporarily postpone the game until the next day. You can bungle up your scheduling somewhat, but I certainly think they've done a great job in setting this whole thing up, and you have to make trade-offs, and this is just one trade-off that they've chosen to make, and I think it's fine too.
I was actually going to make it interesting. I was like, I was going to say how it's funny how one team's overtime can seriously change the outlook on another team's series. See Carolina, Boston right now. Not because, okay, I don't care what time they play with the first day, but it forces a back-to-back. And I'd argue that if you're forcing a back-to-back, it's beneficial for Boston with a backup goalie like Halak. But they're actually both starting their starting first goaltenders again by the looks of it. So my point gets just absolutely dismantled. But
yeah, I don't know how much I'd buy into the back-to-back claims because of how fresh they are.
I can't believe, Ryan, you're forgetting about your boy James Reimer as a backup for the Carolina
Hurricanes.
No,
I know it's James Reimer, but I mean, first of all, we all know what happens with Reimer in playoff series with Boston, okay?
But then again, Mrazek didn't look so hot in that overtime goal because he kind of lost his net a little bit.
It was double overtime. I don't care. Once you hit overtime,
yeah. So Korpisalo and friggin' Vasilevsky went 5 overtimes. That was a
miracle on ice, man. That was a miracle. I don't know how he did that. I think it's impressive how goalies. I don't know how goalies could stay so fresh. Goalies are the only ones on the ice the whole time. The fact that they were able to play at the caliber that they did, you gotta give credit. Absolute huge credit to Vasilevsky and Korpisalo, man. Holy crap!
As a former goalie myself, like I can tell you that just it comes from really making your game efficient. Because if you're not, because I'll be honest, I did play high level enough, I guess. I mean, I played as high as AAA, whatever, right? But I was not a very efficient goalie. So I know that these goalies. Does that mean
you were bad?
I mean, I was good enough to play at the levels that I did. But that being said, I just know I know that guys like Carey Price, these professional high level goalies that play efficiently. Because I don't think someone like maybe Halak or someone like, again, I'm trying to think. It's not coming to mind of an inefficient goalie in the NHL right now, but guys that play their game efficiently, Price, Vasilevsky, Korpisalo, you could throw in, maybe Ben Bishop into the conversation. I mean, he's not playing right now, but just guys that play the game. Fleury, I would say, is not as efficient of a goalie. Marc-Andre Fleury, with the way he plays.
I think your take on efficiency is really interesting because what could be more efficient than, say, taking a look at your organization, realizing that you don't have a number 1 draft pick in the next round, you are not going to win the Stanley Cup with your current lineup, so taking a quick dive out of the opportunity to win a playoff series, which we all know you could have won one, you're not going to win the cup. Get yourself a chance at the number 1 draft pick, which you do not have even a first rounder, and the worst case, you've just given yourself more time to rest and prepare for the next season of mediocrity. That is efficient, I'll tell you that much.
Damn on him.
I know you're hating more on, or you're trying to hate more on, like the Leafs or the Habs here. Like I'm losing track. Like seriously,
we are both jokes of franchises.
I think you guys are more of a joke than we are, but
that's false.
But just coming back to the point about like this overtime and planning thing. I'm just the reason why I brought that up is because Toronto, you have the Coca-Cola Center or where the Marlies play just down the street in Exhibition Plaza, right? I mean, don't you think that as a worst case scenario, the NHL could maybe you have used that as a resource to play the Carolina-Boston series? Because Ryan, like you said, like this Columbus Tampa series is affecting the Boston Carolina series, because even today they have another 3:00 start for the Tampa Columbus series and another 8:00 start for the Boston Carolina series. So what if you see another multi-overtime game from the Columbus and Tampa series? It's going to push back the Carolina Boston series again.
We're going to see a really cool trend in these podcasts with Ethan and I. Either I'm going to completely agree with him and say verbatim what he says, or I'm going to say the exact opposite and call him an absolute idiot.
I like
Ethan,
it.
You're an absolute idiot. They absolutely could have done exactly.
Tell me something I don't know. I thought you were going to say you wouldn't agree with me.
So it's like, Mike, exactly what you said. That's what they should have done. I think they absolutely should have done that. Had a backup place in case this happens. I
don't know what it would be like in Edmonton, but I know in Toronto it's just down the street.
They're going to have options, man. It's Edmonton. I'm sorry. That is me making an assumption. But, I can't imagine they couldn't have a good enough hockey rink in Edmonton to be able to have a backup game there in need be of these.
But it's so much
scenarios.
More about just having a backup hockey game.
I agree, Ethan. That's where definitely kudos to the NHL. I'm not taking anything away from the respect that the NHL deserves for making this whole thing happen in the middle of the summer, right? But I'm just saying that you got to have maybe a backup option or two in case you do have an extreme situation like this 5 overtime game. And I actually have a story of when back in my hockey days, right? I was in a tournament in Chicoutimi, Quebec, which is the equivalent of like north of North Bay, Ontario. So Chicoutimi, Quebec, right? And it's like a provincial tournament, right? In high school, right? In high school Division I hockey. So in our game, right before our game, the Zambonis, doing the ice between periods of the previous game, and it breaks down. The Zamboni breaks down and just completely chews up the ice at the rink I was playing at. So what had to happen is we ended up having to play at another rink. I think it was where the Saguenay, the QMJHL team plays, right? The Chicoutimi Saguenay play. We had to play at that rink instead of the rink that we played at. So here we are as a team. We're getting ready. We're all dressed and ready to go for our game, and the Zamboni breaks down. So you have to get undressed, get back in our bus, and drive to the other rink, right? But I'm just saying that there was a backup option, and they made it happen. So I'm just saying that if there's a rink down the street that you can use for the NHL, maybe that could be an option to consider.
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect.
I don't think that
to take minor league
somebody who's a Habs fan and a guy who's got a best grandma sign in his room. I don't think the NHL and the planning department is going to be listening to either one of you, and I don't think.
I don't think they listen to any of us.
I think it's very easy to lobby the thing of saying you could just find another rink. There's one close by, and I'm sure that there were people within the room of the planning department of the NHL who were saying the exact same thing. But clearly, that's probably not the end of the story.
I think
I would say the solution is probably not that simple, and I think both of you guys can recognize that.
It probably has to do with filming and just actually getting like a rink where you could support the filming crew to a proper degree to like a standard. But again, I just wanted to throw it out there. NHL. They could do it. I can't. There's no way they couldn't do it. It's just they found it for whatever reasons more reasonable to do it elsewhere. I don't. Whatever. Hey, I'm not there for that.
Yeah, so I want to actually move on to the next discussion. So we all submitted our NHL brackets to each other beforehand. I actually made a whole show about my own NHL brackets. How are they looking so far, boys? How are our brackets looking so far?
I was the guy who called Oilers and Pens in 3, and somehow I don't look like the idiot here. Someone I know happened to pick the Blackhawks beating. Well, that's true. That's just me, my normal persona. The Blackhawks beating Vegas. I don't know who on earth in their right minds could pick that whatsoever. You have to keep in mind that would be the 8th seed beating the 1st seed, which would what a pick that is just on numbers.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that. My bracket's looking fantastic though because I did not make that pick.
Who would take an 8th seed beating the 1st seed? What an idiot!
Both of them.
Okay, so you called her on both sides?
Yeah, I did. I actually did because you know what? When you're designing a playoff bracket, right?
Yeah.
It's the NHL playoffs, so there's always going to be an upset here and there. You never know who it's going to be. And also, we got also.
I mean, that doesn't mean you just randomly select teams to upset each other.
Yes and no. It kind of does. Yes and no. At times it does. But we played
opposite.
But we played one.
You take every favorite in every single setup.
There's a difference between probability maximizing and probability matching, and one of those strategies is far inferior than the other.
But here's the thing. Crap, I actually kind of lost my train of thought there. But anyway.
No problem. That's pretty normal for a Habs fan. I'll take it over. What you were thinking at the time of making your bracket and deciding that the Habs would beat the Flyers and that the Knights would lose to the Hawks was absolutely nothing. And I'm pretty sure that's how you somehow created that monstrosity of a bracket.
Pens in 3.
Yeah. I will defend that choice to the death. That even wasn't. Both of those happened to be upsets, which makes us look even worse. I'll admit that.
Oh yeah, I want to say that we only played one game so far. This is only game 1, and these are best of 7 series and not best of 5 series. So all these teams have a chance to come back, and that will be something we talk about after.
7 games at home.
Right.
My bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, you're still an idiot. So, I would defend Ethan over taking Pens in 3, even if Vegas gets upset by Chicago. your pick is still more stupid. Like, even if you're right, you are still dumber. Okay. Why? Why? What about that matchup says, I don't know, Chicago upset? Like,
well,
again,
you know what? That brings up
the previous stream. I did get quoted saying, who am I to say Chicago can't do it again? Because I get you, but like, also you're an idiot. Like what?
Here's the thing though.
One upset, I get it, but on both sides, man, it's like you want.
It's hockey. It's playoff hockey in August after a 4-month layoff. You honestly never know what could happen. You never know. Yes, you can.
Any sport. It doesn't mean you just
no. You know, in basketball, you kind of know. In football, a little bit. You kind of. But hockey, you absolutely don't know.
In basketball and football, let me know, and I'll start playing some pro line tickets with you.
Because here's the other thing. The Hawks hit 3 posts. The Hawks hit 3 posts. They hit 3 posts, right?
Yeah, very valuable stat. Very important stat to look at.
No, but if they got a little bit of puck luck, and if Corey Crawford plays a little bit better and doesn't give up 2 really bad goals, or at least 1 really bad goal.
Which he did.
But he didn't exactly do that in the Edmonton series, or in the series that he won the Stanley Cups in. So, you know, we'll see how
10 years ago.
But
with a completely different team.
Look, if the Hawks somehow come back and even make this a series, if they even make this a series,
it is objectively a series.
Okay, but I have a question for you. So when the Knights inevitably sweep the Blackhawks and your pick looks as ridiculous as it looks right now.
Like when the Habs swept the Penguins. I have to stop doing this. I have to do this. When the Habs swept the Penguins.
No. Are you gonna come back and defend your pick? Or are you gonna be like, well, I was just picking for an upset and it didn't happen? Because you've got to make your picks and stand by them.
I am standing by them. I am standing by it because we only played one game so far. Boy,
I'm looking forward to the show in a few days when both of those have been sweeps.
Well, the same way. Look,
one of those is gonna be a sweep. Only one of those is actually neither are gonna be sweeps. Chicago's pulling one game out, okay? Chicago's pulling
No way. Not a chance.
Absolutely
not a chance.
Okay, I will make a water bet with you on that one, buddy, okay?
Okay, I want some odds on that, though.
69 to 420.
Perfect.
Got it.
Sorry, Mom.
Deal.
But yeah, just everywhere else in my bracket so far, I'm just really having struggles here. I mean, besides the bold upset takes aside, like – I had Dallas over Calgary.
That's a word for it.
Yep, I had Dallas over Calgary.
Utter stupidity equals bold.
It does. But I took Dallas over Calgary. I took Carolina over Boston so far. I'm only right on Islanders over Washington so far, and Tampa over Columbus. So that's.
I want to talk about the Carolina picks that you both made. I want to.
But you took Boston.
To me. I took Boston. Boston. Now, I don't see yet why you would pick Carolina to win that series. I think we saw it last year where they swept, then got swept by Boston. I don't think we've seen enough to think that they're a team that's capable yet of beating Boston. Boston hasn't
double overtime.
Yet. So,
overtime.
But what is that? Like, what am I supposed to take from that? They got
beat them.
I mean, just because you go to overtime does not mean you have the capabilities to beat a team.
Disagree.
And like over a longer game series. I mean, they had plenty of opportunity to do so, and they didn't.
Yeah.
So I don't see how they can possibly stop the first line, which they didn't.
Well, if you stop the first line, David Krejci. If you stop Boston's first line, David Krejci, who else is going to score for Boston?
Obviously they want to get some from their depth, but I think the main question is can you stop their first line? And they can't. Like, you can throw out assumptions and it's like, well, as long as they can stop the first line. It's like, well, they just had an opportunity to, and they lost the game.
I mean, look, if their first line gets 1 goal a game, if you can limit their first line to either 0 to 1 goal a game. So you had Krejci score, right, for Boston. You had a Krejci goal. And you had that first line obviously win the game in overtime, right? And they scored early. But if you can limit that line to 1 goal a game, and you limit David Krejci, and you take out David Krejci, who else is going to score for Boston?
Just what a statement. If you could limit a line to only 1 goal a game, it's like, man.
Well, yeah, because they're one line team.
Listen.
It is asking a lot. It is asking a lot. But you take a well-structured defensively team in Carolina, well-coached, right? And they have the personnel to match with that line, right?
You score more, man. That's just the answer. You just score more. Carolina's first line can put those goals on the board. They can try to keep pace, but they have a deeper roster. And I have confidence that these guys will pull the upset still. And then go up and win the Stanley Cup playoffs. Dark horse. Nay.
They're also my pick to go to the finals. So I'm still defending that. But you look at...
I don't know how I still don't look the worst after I picked the Oilers and the Pens to win in 3. Somehow I don't look like I have the worst predictions on this show. This is mind-blowing to me.
Upset for the first round, and you called Philadelphia to win the Cup. So
I did not call Philadelphia to win the Cup. Colorado was going to win the Cup.
Oh, sorry. You called Philadelphia to go to the finals.
I think Philadelphia is going to come out of the East, though. Yes.
I call them losing in the first round in the biggest upset with
I honestly do not know how you see them even losing to the – like, how do they lose to the Habs? I don't understand that.
Carey Price.
Carter Hart. Out of the net, Carter Hart is playing – Carter Hart is playing better in net than Carey Price is, and the team that is in front of him is infinitely better than the Habs.
But
in what blinders of the Carey Price fan world do you find yourself picking the Habs to win
the Habs outplayed Philly for a good amount of that game yesterday. The Habs outplayed
What does that even mean? What does that even mean? For a portion of the game, they were the better team.
That means a bounce or two goes their way.
But you're also right, because they're going to win the series, but you're an idiot. Now, so here's the problem. The truth is, I had my mindset on Habs beating Philadelphia the second they got seeded with them so that Toronto could go play them in the second round. However, Toronto didn't make it. So I decided to stick with the prediction because I don't back off on my predictions. Do I have any valid reason behind it? Carey Price.
No, like that's odd. It's so tough.
So guys, we're running. We're getting a little bit short on time here, guys. So just real quick, let's. I want to talk about which teams do you think will be most likely to bounce back from their 1-0 deficit in the series, and then we're going to make predictions of whether we're going to keep our picks or trade our picks. So
there's no doubt in my mind. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that the Blackhawks and the Habs are going to be teams that find themselves bouncing their way back to some sort of vacation away from the bubble in the next 3 games.
I can't wait for one of them to do it. That's what I can't.
They definitely will. Just to shut you up, Ethan.
Are you going to get a soundbite of that or just play it?
You know what? Like, what I'm setting myself up for is just the worst scenario, because when they eventually lose in, like, 4 games, it's not going to feel that good because it's like, that was super obvious. Who couldn't have seen that coming? The problem is that one of them miraculously manages to do something with their hockey organization, then I'm going to just be ridiculed endlessly, but I'm kind of here for that.
Oh, I'm going to buy a soundboard just to throw it back at you every show.
They're uploaded on my channel, so you know the sound bites are there. Just take them.
Perfect.
I'm going to make Mike buy it for me because it's his show.
just what this podcast needed was more of my voice.
More of your voice and more of that beautiful smile.
What teams do we think?
Tough look.
What teams are going to come back from their 1-0 deficit?
All right, so I have in my bracket Montreal winning, and I have Carolina winning. Neither of those are the most likely to bounce back. I got to be humble here. The most likely is St. Louis by a mile. I don't know. Do you guys know how far did they get last year again? I think they went the semifinals.
Nowhere of importance.
Nowhere of importance. Right?
Nothing. Yeah.
Tyler Bozak won a Stanley Cup. Tyler Bozak and Carl Gunnarsson won a Stanley Cup.
Shut the hell up. We don't talk about Bozo, okay? I'm a Bozo loather. So, anyways, yeah, I mean, St. Louis is just too deep, too strong, too powerful. They're just I don't even. It barely needs to be touched upon. Yes, Vancouver.
Bo Horvat though.
That
was a disgusting move that he pulled on Arnon. Wow.
Unbelievable game from Bo. And again, the team is respectable, and can they pull the upset? Absolutely. But I can't see St. Louis dropping this series, even though they're down a game right now.
I mean, the person who didn't show up to their game was their goaltender. Binnington had an awful game.
Binnington.
Put Allen back in.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can expect Binnington to play like that for the rest of the series. And I think if they field the same team that they did, with a better goaltender, with Binnington just sort of snapping out of whatever that was, the funk that he was in last game, I think you're absolutely spot on that is going to be a series that's probably going to get overturned.
I agree.
Or at least be far more competitive.
They're going to put Jake Allen in there when Binnington lets 3 goals in the next game, and Jake Allen's going to win the series, baby, and then he's going to suck at the start of the next one, and Binnington's going to win the next series. Let's go. I'm here for it.
They won the cup like that, so why not? They won the cup like that.
Sure.
There was another team that also did that a few years ago.
Washington between Holtby and I forget his name.
Grubauer.
Yeah. Who's gonna backstop
force to
Colorado
be
the Stanley
reckoned
Cup
with.
this year?
Who is a force to be reckoned with? Absolutely.
Yes, I agree. So,
And
I love to see that back and forth. I love Jake Allen. I mean, he fell off the cliffs last year, but I mean, I'd love to see him get back and be the goalie he used to be, even with Binnington there, just there to steal his spot, like a la Matt Murray and Fleury. But we'll see. It's excited to watch, man. Playoff hockey.
So again, guys, are we going to keep our picks? Are we still keeping our picks, or are we trading any of our picks so far?
No, I think after the very deep and intellectual discussion that we've had over this podcast, I think I might actually want to revise my picks for the Habs and the Blackhawks series. I think what you've convinced me of anything is I'd like to revise that the number of games that I think the Knights and the Flyers are going to win in is 3.
Hey, that means one game away from me being right.
That's against me.
Yeah.
Hey, I called the Habs. What am I doing? No, I absolutely should go back, but I never back down, baby. My bracket's perfect. Let's go. I'm sticking with it. Let's go, baby.
I like how we all actually think. Who's your Stanley Cup winner, Ryan? Again?
Carolina, Doc.
Carolina. So between the three of us, we have Carolina either in the finals or winning, and Colorado winning between the three of us. So yeah, so that's.
I would like to not be lumped in with your predictions, nor with Ryan's. Thank you very much.
Colorado.
Well, sucks to be right. But
don't know what that's like.
Shut up, Peds and Oils at 3.
So this has been a Langerr at the Mic Live roundtable show. Once again, thank you so much, guys, for joining in. If this again becomes more of a regular thing, we're gonna have our own segment name for this. What was it? Three idiots in a beer podcast, or whatever. There's always gonna be I guess the idiot.
Something like that. I don't know why you insist on counting as the 3 idiots, but that's cool with me.
Where's the beer?
I don't know. That's what you just named in the group chat. But anyway. But this has been.
I don't remember that at all.
I want beer.
We'll bring beer on the show next time. But this has been Langerr at the Mic Live. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.
And go Leafs, go!
Oilers in 3.
Leafs go!